Imagine a place where trust is twisted into terror, where faith is weaponized, and the people you love are the ones who might betray you most. A community bound not by friendship or family, but by fear, secrecy, and blind devotion. This is the story of the cult that killed its own, and the secrets the police didn't reveal. Until now. It all began in the early 1980s, in a quiet town that most outsiders wouldn't think twice about. Nestled between dense forests and winding rivers, the town was unremarkable, until a charismatic man named Ezekiel Hart arrived. Ezekiel wasn't just any man. With piercing eyes, a calm voice, and a magnetic presence, he could convince anyone of anything. Within months, he had a following. Men and women who believed he was chosen by God to lead them to salvation. But behind the smiles and hymns, there was something far darker. The Hart Fellowship, as it came to be called, lived secluded from the outside world. Members followed strict rules: no outside contact, no questioning of Ezekiel's authority, and total obedience to his commands. Children were trained to fear disobedience. Adults were trained to fear punishment, and any hint of doubt was considered blasphemy. And then, people began disappearing. The first missing person was Claire Donovan, a young woman of 22. She had joined the fellowship hoping to find purpose, but she vanished without a trace. The police initially treated it as a runaway case, but over the next 3 years, more members disappeared, sometimes 2 or 3 in a single month. Neighbors whispered about strange rituals, midnight ceremonies, and chants that echoed through the forest. Some claimed to see hooded figures dragging people into cabins, while others reported hearing desperate screams. Investigators finally managed to infiltrate the cult in 1986, posing as followers. What they discovered would haunt them forever. Inside the Hart Fellowship compound, the members engaged in rituals that combined religious fervor with pure terror. People accused of impurity were humiliated, beaten, and in some cases killed. The most chilling part? Ezekiel recorded everything. Tapes of ceremonies, testimonies, and confessions. He referred to these recordings as the scriptures of truth, proof that he had the power of life and death over his followers. When the police finally raided the compound in 1987, they expected to find missing persons. What they found instead were the bodies of 12 members, hidden in the woods behind the main hall. Some had been poisoned, others strangled, and a few, heartbreakingly, were found in ritualistic arrangements that suggested they had died in the very ceremonies that were meant to cleanse them. But here's the part the authorities didn't reveal at the time. According to confidential reports later obtained by investigative journalists, the police discovered evidence that Ezekiel had been manipulating local law enforcement from the beginning. He had informants inside the town, had bribed officials, and even threatened witnesses. The investigation was compromised from day one, and some insiders believe that several murders may never have been fully documented. Ezekiel Hart disappeared shortly after the raid, and despite a nationwide manhunt, he was never caught. Some claimed he fled to South America, others believed he was dead. Members who survived the ordeal spoke of the Pact, a code that forbade anyone from revealing the full extent of what had occurred inside the compound. It was fear, not faith, that kept them silent.
I lost my sister, my friends. I almost lost myself. We couldn't talk. We were terrified. He said the outside world would never understand, and anyone who tried to speak would pay with their life. Some of us believed him.
The investigation officially closed in 1989, with charges pressed against a few lower-ranking members. Ezekiel Hart remained at large, and the majority of the horrific details were sealed. Why? Authorities claimed it was to protect the survivors, but insiders say it was also to avoid panic. The full horrors of what happened inside the Hart Fellowship were never made public. Over the decades, the story has resurfaced in whispers and documentaries, but the true secrets remain hidden. Were all the missing members accounted for? Was Ezekiel Hart working alone, or did he have a network of accomplices across the country? And most chillingly, how many lives could still be affected by the ideology he planted in those young minds decades ago? Today, the forest stands silent, the cabins rotting and abandoned. But those who lived through the cult carry its mark forever. PTSD, lost families, broken faith, it's a legacy of terror that cannot be erased. The Heart Fellowship may have been dismantled, but its story is a reminder. There are places in the world where trust is weaponized, faith is corrupted, and evil wears the face of salvation. And the truth, the part that authorities didn't want the public to know, still lingers in the shadows. The question remains, how many of the missing were truly found? How many secrets died with them? And could someone like Ezekiel Hart rise again, under a new name, in a new place? If you want to uncover the darkest corners of human nature, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us as we dig deeper into the stories the world tried to forget. Because some secrets refuse to stay buried.